Welcome everyone to the fastest car you'll ever need. Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Carpe Diem. Today I want to ask a question. What type of car do we actually need in the UK today? I'd personally argue that the EP3 Honda Civic Type R could well be a contender. Let's find out, shall we? Now, I do have a little bit of a confession to make. This Type R is my Type R. So inevitably, I'm going to be a little bit biased. Having said that, I will try and be as impartial as possible. God, it's so warm and stuffy in here. The joys of having no air conditioning. Let's get straight to the heart of the EP3 Type R, and that is the spine-tingling, the ear-shattering, the screaming K20 engine. An engine that is used in a variety of K-swapped cars over the years and is very popular amongst the car community. I think the argument of saying, oh, no air conditioning because race car, because lightness, they're lying. You gotta remember that this K20 engine was designed by a company that at the time of its conception was still in the shrieking V10 F1 era, a time that we can all look back with an element of nostalgia. As you can probably hear by the noise in the cabin, this isn't your standard EP3 Type R. It has the obligatory thankyou induction kit, as well as a HKS catback exhaust system. It also has some slightly uprated brakes with braided lines, as well as uprated pads and discs. And it also has some powder coated wheels that are done by Platinum Wheels in Leeds. I think it was Deutsche Silver that I chose to go for with a matte satin finish. Personally, I love the way that they look. It's just the right amount of OEM with modern flair for me. The tyres that I've gone for are Goodyear asymmetric F1s. I used to have a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4s on them. They were just a tad too expensive for me, and they do have a reinforced sidewall, which means that the ride is just a little bit crashy. And to be fair, with the suspension on the EP3, it's not exactly the smoothest of rides, shall we say. And apart from those modifications that I've done to them, the rest of it has just been maintenance. This includes, as you can imagine, the obligatory regular oil change. It's also had a trip to Dave and the guys at Motion Motorsport who've done a wonderful job of replacing the sills on this. So what's this car like to drive? Well, a lot of people say that this car's personality has something of a yappy Yorkshire Terrier that is constantly chomping away at your ankles. However, from my own experience of me and my wife getting a puppy in the last 12 months, I'd actually go one further and say this is more like a puppy that has just had its vaccinations and is being let outside for the first time, sniffing away, learning how to be socially acceptable around other people, and constantly taking life at 1,000,000 miles an hour. This engine is an absolute peach. All you need to do is just drop it down a few gears to be able to enjoy it, even well below national speed limits. Now, some critics of the Civic Type R do say that this generation is fun, but it's really, really, really slow. And I can see where they're coming from with that. There's a variety of different power modifications you can do with this engine. You can keep it naturally aspirated, you can supercharge it, you can turbocharge it, you can even do a Frankenstein engine swap and have a K20 head with a K24 bottom end, although that's a lot of money in fairness. However, when you have lots of power in a car like this, for me, it's missing the point of what the car has been designed to do. Yes, it's a revvy little engine. Yes, it loves to be absolutely wrung out and smashing through the gears. At the same time, I think it was James May who mentioned this on Old Top Gear. performance of cars like this is not about the figures or the numbers, it's about the nature of the delivery. All you need to do is drop down a couple of gears, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, floor it. Oh, God, I love this car. And if you don't like this car, why don't you? Have a word with yourself. Just instant. It revs to 8,000 RPM in a hatchback. It's sort of RPM territory that's left for supercars, especially in its heyday. And I don't think any car, bar the modern generation of Civic Type Rs, has ever revved as highly or as freely as this does. Name me a hatchback that revs as highly as this. I bet you can't name one. So what are people's opinions of the Type R? Well, I'm going to have to first of all refer to probably one of my all-time favourite YouTubers, and that is Sam Fain from Seen Through Glass. I recently went to one of his Behind the Glass podcasts. Part of the process when they do one of these live podcasts is that they get one of the camera crew to go around the car park and take videos and pictures of the audience's cars, and it's usually labelled as the Rate My Ride section. And whose car do you think they managed to pick on as part of the Rate My Ride section? Roll the film.
There's a Civic Type R. I don't know my FD because it's just not my world, but it's an old one. It's a 52 plate silver Civic Type R.
This is the hot hatch version of your 360. Makes loads of noise, don't go anywhere. It's literally your 360 in a hot hatch.
Well, then it must be a fantastic car. Have you already got the microphone? You do. Okay, so please let me unembarrass myself. What is the model? What is this?
It technically classed as an EP3 Type R.
Correct. EP3. Okay, fine. And this is a 2002 odd model year.
Yeah.
Is this regarded as one of the great modern classic hot hatches?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people nodding.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Yeah, I would agree. It is fantastic. How long have you had the car?
Jan 2020, so 3 and a bit years.
Okay, and is Tony right? Is it a lot of show no go? Or
for me, on British B roads, that's all I really need, to be honest.
You're probably right.
Yeah, 200 horsepower for a British road is all you need.
They seem very complimentary of the EP3 Type R, as did the rest of the audience. Claimed it as a modern classic hot hatch. A win for the common man, some would say. Some people would argue that this generation Type R is from the max power days, a time when no body kit was too obnoxious, no exhaust was too big, and no stereo system was too loud. Oh, how times have changed. Putting that to one side for a moment, all I would say is have a go in one of these. Just have a go. Even if it's standard, or even if it's had a few modifications like this one has had, just have a go. And I say just have a go from experience. Let me take you back 18 months. A close friend of mine came to me and said, I'm not sure what type of sporty car I want to have. I'm thinking of getting myself either an M2 or an F80 M3. I then said to him, you know what? Just have a go in my Type R. Have a quick blast on there. Let me know what you think. I gave him the keys and off he went. I then said to him, don't be afraid to rev it out all the way. In fact, I demand that you rev it out all the way to 8,000 RPM, then change gear. He proceeded to then go down the dual carriageway, spin it around the roundabout, came back again, and he literally pulled up next to me, turned the engine off, and the facial expression that he gave me was something along the lines of, followed quickly by the response, mate, I've got to have one of these. And lo and behold, about a month later, he bought one. He then quickly proceeded to get both the same thankyou intake as well as the HKS catback exhaust, and we are officially known by our other car friends as Silver Crew. For those of you who come across this car will notice quite a variety of stickers on the back of the car, and that's from all the different trips that I've been on, chief among which have been a trip down to Goodwood, to places like the Cafe de Machine, to the Motorist up in Leeds, and also to places like Le Mans. Going to Le Mans had been a childhood ambition for me, especially going there with a group of friends in a convoy. And eventually, it got to the point where I was actually able to afford to be able to go with a group of friends. And unfortunately, that year that I booked the tickets was for 2020. And we all know what happened in that year. After multiple years of delays and anticipation, finally, we managed to go to Le Mans as a group in a convoy in 2022. I actually got it stickered up heavily with Martini stripes and numbers and sponsorship decals, as did my dad on his VW camper van. I had a small request from him to say, I want a support truck when I go to Le Mans, Dad. What can you do? He was like, leave it with me. There are more things to come with Le Mans on this channel later this year, so keep posted for that one. Future plans for the car? I would like to take it up to Scotland and do the North Coast 500, preferably with a group of mates. That'll be a bit of a laugh, especially my other friend who's recently bought one of these. However, my ultimate dream and ambition for this car is to do a tour of Europe in it. And what I mean by that is taking the car and visiting all the key motorsport tracks around Europe, places like Zolder, Spa, Monza, Estoril, Portimao, and obviously the Nürburgring. That would be a big project in itself, and who knows, maybe I might take the car as it is and keep it roadworthy. Maybe I'll strip it out and turn it into a bit of a track toy. However, the idea of driving around Europe in pretty much a stripped out race car could be fun. I like to come back with both my back and my eardrums in one piece. One of the things I do like the most about this generation Civic Type R, it's going to sound cheesy this, but it is the community. The amount of people that have these cars and who love them to bits and who treasure them is on the rise. I think it's because of how rare these cars will become as time goes on, especially something that is an 8,000 RPM hatchback with a manual gearbox. That's equally reciprocated when you pass someone who has an EP3 Type R. And yes, I know you get that typically with any car, especially if you come across another one going the other way on the road. At the same time, I've actually experienced it more with this car than I have with any other car that I've owned. So what do you guys think then? Would you say that this is a classic hot hatch, or do you think it should rust away? Like I said earlier in the video, name me another car on the UK market today that revs as freely as this, is as engaging as this, is as good looking as this, is as practical as this, and is as cheap to run and as cheap to buy as this is. Name me another car. So as ever, thanks for watching the channel. I'm currently getting blinded by the sun at the moment, as you can probably see me squinting away. There are more videos to come, and as I referred to earlier, there will be a big trip happening for the Carpe Diem channel later this year, in summer. More details to follow. And don't forget, like and subscribe, share and comment, and I'll be seeing you guys later.